Radio. Radio.
All right. Howdy. Greetings. Let's see. I got two things pulled up. We're Gucci. We Gucci here. Okay. All right. Sup. Oh boy, do I need a new everything, man. Ooh. I need a new camera. I need a new mic. Both of those things, and there might be some issues going on with this camera. Apologies for that. Leftist camera quality and all that, right? I am right now. I have a bunch of things set up in a way where we're going to go through them in a logical order, and that's about it, really. And again, apologies for the camera. It's going to come in and out in a way that's going to be very odd or awkward. So, not much I can do about that, right? Anyway, yeah, we got quite a lot on the plate today. I was testing the audio prior, and it seems like it should be fine. Let me see what's going on with this. Hold on. Filters. I'm not sure. We might have to roll with it for now. Camera's being very bizarre. Okay, let's just get to it. All right. Ooh. Window. I have that. No. I have multiple things pulled up. Oof. All right. I would like to start with the Trump town hall. Yeah, so I guess Trump went on CNN to talk with one of the people who works at CNN, maybe, I don't know. So there's a lot of clips to I don't know, looking, I guess. We'll just see what they have to say. All right. Let's go.
Has an ability to appeal across the aisle. I certainly think he has the discipline to drive home that message tonight. But I think he has a very effective and compelling message, which is, look, the Trump administration delivered prosperity. We can get back to it. We just have to take this country in a different
direction. But as you know, this town hall tonight comes a day after he was found liable for sexually abusing this woman.
Well, look, I think that case is illustrative of what's gone wrong in this country. Simply put, the Democrats don't want to have a debate about prosperity and peace, about the failures of the Biden administration. They wanted to try to destroy this guy through the legal process. And if you look just at who's financing this litigation.
This would only be the case if they had any evidence that would substantiate the fact that this would be politically motivated. And we don't know for sure if that's the case. As far as I'm concerned, because he's also seems to be using the same logic that we would otherwise apply to the other case regarding Trump with the Manhattan DA. I'm used to the camera being up here. The Manhattan DA, with the whole falsifying business records, stuff like that. So we haven't looked at those those files or what have you have not been unsealed as far as I remember. And with this specifically, it's hard to say if it's politically motivated, or what your definition of politically motivated is.
At some of their political motives. This is really not about what Donald Trump did 25 years ago. This is trying to destroy Trump personally so they don't have to have a debate about the condition of this country and where to take it in the future.
you totally disagree with some of your fellow Republicans. I'll give you a few examples. Asa Hutchinson, he says this is another example of Trump's indefensible behavior. Senator Mitt Romney, your Republican colleague, says it shows Trump is not suited to be president. And there are more Republicans who keep coming out in the aftermath of all of these allegations against Trump and saying he should not be the nominee.
Well, Asa Hutchinson's running against Trump for president, so I'm not surprised that he's saying some negative things, Wolf. But look, I think we have to be very, very clear about what's gone on in this country. In one jurisdiction, in particular, New York, you have had lawsuit after lawsuit that's been about things that have nothing to do with the future of this country. The future of...
Why does it have to be? What? Who cares? Like, if they find some shit that doesn't go past the statutory litigation, right? And also he find evidence that he did something, then he should be charged. It doesn't matter if he's a foreign president or not.
This country is, how do we secure the border? How do we get back to common sense economic policies that deliver good wages for workers and low inflation? I think it's
so it's the same talking points as usual. Yeah,
unbelievable, and it's bizarre that you have an effort to take down Trump personally instead of
you
deal
don't
with the
believe
substances
the
of the day.
allegations that E. Jean Carroll leveled against Trump?
Well, I think fundamentally the lawsuit is about something that happened 25 years ago. It's a he said, she said situation.
That's how these things always work, right? Somebody makes an allegation, and then we adjudicate it through the legal process. That's literally how every type of sexual harassment claim is handled. Yeah.
And I trust my friend and the guy that I've known and gotten to know. But look, what I also trust...
So he's literally just admitting that he's biased and he's going to trust his boss, basically.
...is the financial motives and the political motives of the people who financed this lawsuit.
Okay, so if that were the case, then you need to prove to me that there were financial and political motives that led to his indictment. Because just saying that there is a conflict, just because they're on different sides of the political spectrum, doesn't mean that the legitimacy of the charges brought forward are invalid, right? It could very well be the case that just that the things that they brought forward, the Manhattan DA office, it could be the case that these were legitimate and it wasn't actually politically motivated. There has to be the burden of proof is on you to substantiate that kind of fact, right? To prove to us that there was political motivations surrounding, Trump's indictment.
And they have said pretty consistently that this is about politics, not about what Trump did 25. Trump has an ability to appeal across the aisle.
Okay, that was the first clip here. I just want to make sure. We're fine. Okay. Oh. Gotcha. Okay.
Is currently leading the Republican field while also facing multiple criminal investigations and an indictment. Just yesterday, he was found liable for sexual abuse and defamation.
Damn.
No questions are off the table, and we agreed to no conditions. We're here to get voters the answers that they deserve.
Yo, let's do it.
The frontrunner for the Republican nomination, former President Donald Trump. Biden, please welcome
My guy with the red tie out there.
President Trump. Thank you for your time here tonight. We got a great crowd here in New Hampshire, a lot of voters with a lot of questions about what your 2024 term would look like, what another Trump term would look like. We'll get to the voters shortly, but your polls show that you are dominating the Republican race right now, but you are also under active federal investigation for trying to overturn the 2020 election results. Your first term ended with a deadly riot at the Capitol, and you still have not publicly acknowledged the 2020 election results.
I thought he did. Didn't he say Biden's the president? I don't know.
Why should Americans put you back in the White House?
Because we did fantastically. We got 12 million more votes than we had in, as you know, in 2016. I actually say we did far better in that election. Got the most that anybody's ever gotten as a sitting president of the United States. I think that when you look at...
Wait, you got less than Biden. I'm pretty sure, popular vote-wise.
that result. And when you look at what happened during that election, unless you're a very stupid person, you see what happens. A lot of the people in this audience, and maybe a couple that don't, but most people understand what happened. That was a rigged election, and it's a shame that we had to go through it. It's very bad for our country.
I guess
All
he
over the
doesn't
world, they
acknowledge
looked at
the
it,
results.
and they saw exactly what everyone else saw. You look, even if you just look recently with the 51 intelligence agents, that made a 16-point difference. If you look at the
Mr.
FBI,
President-
if you look at the FBI and Twitter, they call it Twitter files, made a big difference. If you look at
Mr. President,
Boy, so one of the issues with this is like, how are you going to hold his feet to the fire? Because he's going to spew out a bunch of claims, and like you're going to have to go like one by one, right? So you either that or you have some kind of underlying thing you want to address that could potentially overlap with a bunch of the other things that all the claims that he's making, right? It's just difficult, like, you know, like he's just going to spew a bunch of bullshit out there. So like you have to be strategic in the way you ask the questions and what questions you ask.
through the
back
vote.
to what you just said there, though, it was not a rigged election. It was not a stolen election. You and your supporters lost more than 60 court cases on the election. It's been nearly 2.5 years. Can you publicly acknowledge that you did lose the 2020 election?
Let me just go on. If you look at True the Vote, they found millions of votes on camera, on government cameras, where they were stuffing ballot boxes. So with all of that, I think it's a shame that
Which was debunked. This is just sad at this point, honestly. The fact that we're a couple years out from the 2020 election and the molding and coping is persisting. It is continuing. It's just pathetic, actually.
happened. I think it's a very sad thing for our country. I think it's a very sad thing, frankly, for the world, because if you look at what's gone to our country has gone to hell. Our borders are bad. Our military has been bad. You look at the taxes, you look at inflation, what's happened to inflation. It's just destroying our country.
Inflation. Sorry. Alrighty.
Tonight, but what you just said there, Republican officials debunked those claims about fraudulent ballots tonight. We want to give you a chance tonight.
Who?
Republican officials in Georgia and every single state. There is no your own election officials, Mr. President. So we wanted to give you a chance.
People were afraid to take on the issue, but we have a big problem in this country. We have
we wanted to give you a chance to
we have
acknowledge the
elections
results.
that were horrible.
We wanted
If
to
you
give
look
you
at
a
what
chance to
happened in
acknowledge the
Pennsylvania,
results.
Philadelphia, if you look at what happened in Detroit, Michigan, if you look at what happened
What happened though? Like you're saying, look what happened here, look what happened there. Like we can't keep track of all the conspiracy. Like you have to be specific. Like I know he's old, but god damn it, like you gotta be specific with your claims here. You know.
in Atlanta, millions of votes, and all you have to do is take a look at government cameras. You'll see them. People going to 28 different voting booths to vote, to put in 7 ballots apiece.
But
I mean,
Mr.
It's important to recognize again that many of the claims made here have either been debunked or have been walked back in court cases because, you know, obviously lying or using like loosely jointed like pieces of evidence to substantiate voter fraud doesn't fly in courts. So like, yeah, I mean, he's lost so many court cases, and a lot of the footage or a lot of the claims made by the Trump team have been debunked. So yeah.
Mr. President,
all
I
on
have to
camera.
stop you there because there is no evidence of that. Your own election officials testified to that and have said that Republicans in these states did this. In Georgia, there were multiple recounts, including a hand recount. We have a lot of questions about the economy and foreign policy.
This person, whoever she, Caitlin Collins, not doing too bad thus far.
In the past, you once
We'll see how she does or how she keeps going. You know, so far isn't too bad.
suggested terminating the Constitution. Do you stand by those comments?
No. You were able to do certain things. I'm not talking about terminating the Constitution. I'm talking about cherishing the Constitution. The Constitution says that we're supposed to have legal and well-maintained and well-looked-at elections, and we didn't have that. I cherish our Constitution.
If that were the case, then he would have won a couple, if not most, of the court cases his team levied. Like, so that's not true.
But we have to live up to the Constitution. We weren't living up to the Constitution.
I was just saying there's no evidence of that election fraud. You did once
You're
tweet.
supposed to say that, but I'm glad you say that. But look,
That's
that
the
was a
truth, Mr.
horrible
President.
election. That was a horrible election, and
Dude, it's the same bullshit every. I don't know, man. It's like literally the same bullshit every time.
unless somebody's very stupid, and I know you very well, you're not stupid at all, but you perhaps are given an agenda or you have an agenda. Look, we have to have honest
As opposed
elections
to
in our
you.
country. We have open borders. We have.
I don't know, dude. It's just like, it's like the same bullshit every day. Like, I don't know. It's like straw man the Democratic Party, like with open borders, which isn't true. Claim the election was rigged because you lost. Claim that there's millions of cases of voter fraud, and it's just like the same bullshit, dude. Straw manning and fucking just making up stuff.
When you've talked about the 2020 election results in the past, you once suggested. When you've talked about the 2020 election.
Got it.
6 was, again, we go back to it, but January 6 had to do with the fact that hundreds of thousands of people, and you don't see the pictures very often. A lot of the people here probably were there. January 6th, it was the largest crowd I've ever spoken to. That was prior to the walk down to the Capitol building. I don't think, and I've spoken to hundreds of thousands of people. I've never spoken to a crowd as large as this. And that was because they thought the election was rigged. And they were there proud. They were there with love in their heart. That was.
I wonder why they all thought the election was rigged. It might have something to do with the rhetoric you and your team have espoused leading up to the months prior to January 6th. Like saying the election, or that we need to take back our country, and that the election was stolen, et cetera, so forth.
Was it unbelievable, and it was a beautiful day.
Do you have any regrets
A
about
beautiful
your
day.
actions on January 6th?
Well, January 6th was, again, we go back to it, but January 6th had to do with the fact that hundreds of thousands of people, and you don't see
Okay.
in the form of Twitter. Now use Truth Social. I think it's far superior, okay? I hope everybody's like, I hope
Windows, they were hitting officers with flagpoles, tasing them, beating them up. When it was clear they weren't being peaceful, why did you wait 3 hours to tell them to leave the Capitol? They listened to you like no one else. You know that.
They do. I agree with that. But
So why didn't
Nancy
you tell them to go home sooner?
Nancy Pelosi and the mayor are in charge. I assume they were able to do their job. They weren't.
But
And it
Pelosi's
kicked
not in
in.
charge of Capitol
And if you remember,
security.
I made a video right outside the Oval Office in the Rose Garden. And I'm very proud of that video. I didn't have a script. I don't need scripts like a certain.
I love how that's the thing he focuses on. He's like, so I made a video and I did it off the cuff and I'm authentic, unlike these media like, I love how this is the angle he wants to go at when talking about January 6th.
person that's in
But
there
what
right
time,
now.
the video, it came out much later after they had already attacked the
there.
Capitol.
It was a great video. And it was a beautiful video. And it said, I mean, I don't want to read it all, but you have to go home now. We have to have peace.
Windows, they were hitting officers with flagpoles.
Oh, shit.
The reason the timeline is so critical here, because going back to your influence, in
Here's
that
another
3
one I
hours,
posted.
over 140 officers were injured that day.
And a person named Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Yes.
You know what? She was killed, and she shouldn't have been killed. And that thug
Right.
that killed her, there was no reason to shoot her. At blank range, cold blank range, they shot her. And she was a good person. She was a patriot.
One
There was
person
no
who was
reason.
there-
There was no reason. And he went on television to brag about the fact that he killed her.
The officer was not bragging about the fact that he
Oh,
killed
he
her,
was
but one
bragging.
person who was at the
Yeah, I wonder what his definition of brag means.
But one
bragging.
person who was at the
He was
Capitol that day, as you know, was your vice president, Mike Pence, who says that you endangered his life on that day.
I don't
Do
think
you
he was in
feel,
any danger.
Mr. President, do you feel that you owe him an apology?
No, because he did something wrong. He should have put the votes back to the state legislatures, and I think we would have had a different outcome. I really do.
But he doesn't have the
What?
authority to do that, as you know.
What?
The vice president does not have the authority to
Okay,
reject
are you
those
ready? Let's
those
have this
election
one out.
results.
Just
But one
bragging.
I want to hear what he had to say about that.
A question to you is, will you pardon the January 6 rioters who were convicted of federal offenses?
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But you know, when you look at Antifa, what they've done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa, look at what they've done to Minneapolis and so many other places. Look at what they did to Seattle and BLM.
Wasn't it found that Antifa wasn't responsible for like the autonomous zone in like Portland? I think that's the case, but it's circulated throughout right-wing media. Yeah, I don't remember. I mean, I could look it up, I guess.
BLM. Many people were killed. These people.
My
Wait, what?
question to you is, will you pardon the January 6 rioters who were convicted of federal offenses?
I am inclined to pardon many of them. I can't say for every single one because a couple of them probably they got out of control. But you know, when you look at Antifa, what they've done to Portland, and if you look at Antifa, look at what they've done to Minneapolis
What's that to do with
so many
anything?
so many other places. Look at what they did to Seattle and
So?
BLM. Many people were killed.
Wait, so it's literally whataboutism? No. Is there any like legitimacy behind this? Any reliable sources? Portland demonstrators, don't be shocked by Antifa activism. Okay, this is from Fox News. Is there like an actual fact check of this? Let's see here. Protesters have frequently found Seattle officials said they saw no evidence of Antifa groups organizing in the zone. Where's this from? This is from CNN. And where did they get their source? I'm probably digging further than I should. But claims that bands of militant Antifa members are roving the Seattle streets appear to be grossly exaggerated in right-wing media. In fact, according to Seattle's mayor's office, city officials haven't seen any evidence to indicate armed members of Antifa are even on the ground. Okay, city officials have not interacted with armed Antifa militants at this site, but will continue to monitor the situation closely. Okay. But small business owners blamed Antifa for violence. Gotcha. Okay, so it doesn't look like Antifa was in the autonomous zone as Trump was implying right there.
Portion of those charged with crimes on January 6th. Does that include the 4 Proud Boys members who were charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their case, but I will say in Washington, D.C., you cannot get a fair trial. You cannot. Just like in New York City, you can't get a fair trial either.
But when you said you are considering
Sorry,
pardoning a large portion of those charged with crimes on January 6th, does that include the 4 Proud Boys members who were charged and convicted of seditious conspiracy?
I don't know. I'd have to look at their case, but I will say in Washington, D.C., you cannot get a fair trial. You cannot. Just like in New York City, you can't get a fair trial either.
Is it because you're under scrutiny right now?
Leave office, you say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back home. I'm back home to my family.
1 second. Okay, sorry, fixing the aspect ratio.
And everything. I'm going to be resigned. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge, too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference.
Sorry, what do you say to the voters who believe the jury verdict in the E. Jean Carroll case disqualifies you?
This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, a very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things, but with her, they can put in anything. Access
This
Hollywood.
was a jury of
anything.
9 people who found
right.
you liable of sexual abuse. Do you think that will deter women from voting for you?
No, I don't think so, because I think
What a weird question. Like, why would you ask that kind of question? Like, what do you think? What do you think, Caitlin?
the whole thing, just so you understand, ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go
He's
into.
doing his
other
best
than
Bill
for a couple of
Clinton impression
charities.
here.
I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me. And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store.
Not a
We
good
had this
thing to
great chemistry.
say.
And a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door. So she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was...
Well, you cooperated, did you not? I mean, didn't you come up there and do... Wait, hold on. Didn't he say... Wait, hold on.
You say, I'm sorry, but I'm going to back home. I'm back home to my family and everything. I'm going to be resigning. My poll numbers went up, and they went up with the other fake charge, too. Because what's happening is they're doing this for election interference. This woman, I don't know her. I never met her. I have no idea who she is. I had a picture taken years
He said, I never met her. Okay. I'm keeping that in my mind.
ago with her and her husband, nice guy, John Johnson. He was a newscaster, very nice man. She called him an ape. Happens to be African American. Called him an ape. The judge wouldn't allow us to put that in. Her dog or her cat was named Vagina. The judge wouldn't allow to put that in. All of these things, but with her, they can put in anything. Access
This
Hollywood.
was a jury of 9 people who found you liable of sexual abuse. Do you think that will deter women from voting for you?
No, I don't think so, because I think the whole thing, just so you understand, ready? I never met this woman. I never saw this woman. This woman said, I met her at the front door of Bergdorf Goodman, which I rarely go into, other than for a couple of charities. I met her in the front door. She was about 60 years old, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. I met her in the front door of Bergdorf Goodman. I was immediately attracted to her, and she was immediately attracted to me.
Wait, this is getting a little confusing. So, is he speaking right now as if he is retelling her perspective, or is he, like, saying that he remembers this happening? He was attracted to her, and she was attracted to him? But that doesn't make sense either, because if he's recounting her own perspective, why would she be saying that he was attracted to her? If that were the case, wouldn't that kind of subvert the legitimacy of the sexual assault filing, whatever? But he also said he never met her, but now apparently he has met her.
And we had this great chemistry. We're walking into a crowded department store. We had this great chemistry, and a few minutes later, we end up in a room, a dressing room of Bergdorf Goodman, right near the cash register. And then she found out there were locks on the door, so she said, I found one that was open. She found one. She learned this at trial. She found one that was open. What kind of a woman meets somebody and brings them up, and within minutes, you're playing hanky-panky in a dressing room, okay? I don't know if she was married then or not. John Johnson, I feel sorry for you, John Johnson.
So I don't get it. So I think I'm pretty sure he's speaking from her. He's like retelling what her perspective was on what happened. But if that's the case, why did he say that I was attracted to her, as if that's what she was saying he thought about her? That doesn't make sense to me.
When you're recounting
I
your
don't know
version.
who, and I tell you this.
But Mr.
Are
President,
you ready?
can I
And I
can
swear
I
on
ask
my
you
children, which I'd never do. I have no idea who this woman. This is a fake story, made up story. We had a horrible Clinton-appointed judge. He was horrible. He allowed her to put everything in. He allowed us to put nothing in.
Mr. President,
this is a
you're
fake.
recounting your version.
Okay.
Was a taped deposition of you from October, and
Keep in mind that this is coming from the same man who said he would grab them by the pussy, so I would not be surprised if this were true. Yeah.
You defended the comments that you made on that Access Hollywood tape about being able to grab women how you want. Do you stand
There you
by those
go.
comments?
I said if you're famous and rich or whatever I said, but I said if you're a star, you are, and I said women let you. I didn't say you grab. I said women let. You know, you didn't use that word, but if you look, women let you. Now,
Do we have the okay? Now I have to look this up. Trump audio. Sorry about this. Hold on. Do we have the audio? Do we have the clip? Oh no. I don't even wait, and when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything. Grab them by the pussy. You can do anything. I would like to hear. Okay, this is the transcript. Oh my god. Let's see. In the video, Trump tells Bush that about a failed attempt to seduce Nancy O'Dell, who was Bush's co-host of the recording. I move on her, and I failed. I'll admit it. I did try and fuck her. She was married, and I moved on her very heavily. Oh, sorry. So he didn't say they let what? Okay, if this is correct, grab him by the pussy, you can do it. Okay, and what was his claim?
said, but I said if you're a star.
This fucking camera is so. It's starting to piss me off. Jesus Christ.
You are, and I said, women let you. I didn't say you grab. I said women let. You know, you didn't use that word.
Neither did you, Mr. President. Because
But if you look,
according to the transcript, you said you can do any. Actually, wait, he did. Oh shit. Okay, damn. I'll take the L. Okay. How did I miss that? And when you're a star, they let you do it. You can do anything, grab him by the pussy. Still lewd. It's still a lewd comment, though. Pretty fucked up. But, whatever. A rare Trump W.
women let you. Now, they said, we would take that back.
But actually, that doesn't really make him look any better, though, because, like, women let you, I'm sure they do. I'm sure there's no coercion taking place prior to what had happened, because obviously the context of that recording was in relation to him trying to seduce a woman into having sex with him.
I said, look, for 1,000,000 years, this is the way it's been. I want to be honest. This is the
What?
way it's been. I can take it back if you'd like to, but
Wait, what's the argument? For it's happened for a long time, therefore it's okay? Seducing women? Raping women? What's he talking about? Just because something has happened for a very long time doesn't mean that is acceptable behavior.
if you're a famous person, if you're a star, and I'm not referring to myself, I'm saying people that are famous, people that are
You were
stars,
asked in the deposition,
people
do you
that are
consider
rich,
yourself to be a star, and
people
you
that are
said yes.
powerful, they tend to do pretty well in a lot of different ways, okay? And you would like me to take that back? I can't take it back because it happens to be true. I said it's been true for 1,000,000 years, approximately 1,000,000 years, perhaps a little bit longer than that.
Dude, what? Trump is something else, man, I swear.
So you stand by those comments?
Well, I don't want to lie.
Mr. President, we have a lot of
here's what
questions.
she wants
Mr.
me to say.
President,
Yeah, humans haven't been around for more than 200,000 years, or 250,000 years.
Taxes from China. But prior to COVID coming in, and then I rebuilt the economy again, a second time, But we had, prior to COVID coming in as from China, from Wuhan, which I said it came from Wuhan. Everybody said, oh, you're wrong about that. You're wrong.
That wasn't what they were saying you were wrong about.
It came from Wuhan. I said it right from day one. So, and then we were given a
What do you think about the United States' current debt situation, and how can we move forward?
such an important question. So we're at $33 trillion, a number that nobody ever thought possible. When we had our economy rocking and rolling just prior to COVID coming in, like literally, we were making a fortune. In oil, we were going to make so much money from oil, we were going to start paying off debt. But then with COVID coming in, we had to do other things. We had to keep this country alive.
Didn't the debt increase under Trump? I'm pretty sure that would be... All right, here we go. Fact checking. The debt increase. During the first part of a president's term, they operate under the previous president's budget. Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting. The best way to measure debt by presidents to add their budget deficits and compare it to the debt level when they took office. 5 presidents who contributed the most percentage-wise to the national debt are Roosevelt, Wilson, Obama, Reagan, and Bush. Neither of the techniques mentioned above is a very accurate way to measure each president's impact on national debt because the president doesn't have much control over the national debt during their first year in office. Okay. For example, President Trump took office in 2017. He submitted his first budget in May. It covered the 2018 fiscal year, which didn't begin until October 1st, 2017. Trump operated the first part of his term under Obama's budget for fiscal year 2017, which ended. Gotcha. While the time lag may make it confusing, Congress intentionally sets it up that way. An advantage of the federal fiscal year is that it gives a new president time to put together their budget during the first months. And that makes sense. Okay. At the end of fiscal year 2020, the debt was $26.9 trillion. Trump added $6.7 trillion to the debt between the fiscal year 2017 and the fiscal year 2020, which is a 33.1% increase, which is largely due to the effects of the coronavirus. Okay. And what was his claim, just to be clear?
Live. $1 trillion, a number that nobody ever thought possible. When we had our economy rocking and rolling just prior to COVID coming in.
Okay, so we need to measure before COVID came in. In his financial year 2021 budget increased the deficit by almost $1 trillion. Jesus. I'm not getting an answer directly because this is more so accounting for. This says largely due to the coronavirus, which implies that there's part of it that isn't attributed to the coronavirus pandemic. So I'm inclined to believe that there was an increase in the debt under Trump prior to the coronavirus. The day president took office, okay, but we already recognized that the first year was not necessarily a great way of looking at it. Okay, it's actually a more complicated question to answer, but it seems like the debt actually did go up under Trump.
And like literally, we were making a fortune. And oil, we were going to make so much money from oil, we were going to start paying off debt. But then with COVID coming in, we had to do other things. We had to keep this country alive because it was so serious. But we have to get the country back. We have to lower energy prices. We have to lower interest rates. Interest rates are through the roof. Energy has to come down. It all has to come down, and we have to start paying off debt. But when we have a debt limit, and they use that very seriously to me. They came in, Schumer came in with Nancy Pelosi, and they were using, we'll violate it, we'll do whatever. They talked a whole lot different than they do right now. I say to the Republicans out there, congressmen, senators, if they don't give you massive cuts, you're going to have to do a default. And I don't believe they're going to do a default because I think the Democrats will absolutely cave because you don't want to have that happen. But it's better.
So is he suggesting that the GOP ought to let the country default as opposed to, like, that's quite, Jesus Christ, dude. Yeah, I mean, like, lowering the debt is well, I think there is isn't there a difference between the debt and a deficit in the country? If we're referring to the debt specifically, like, I don't know. I don't want to speak out of my ass, but
Better than what we're doing right now, because we're spending money like drunken sailors.
So
You know
just
the
to be clear,
expression?
Mr. President, you think the U.S. should default if the White House does not agree to the spending cuts Republicans
Well,
are
you might
demanding?
as well do it now because you'll do it later.
jeez, make America great at some point in time.
Because we have to save this country. Our country is dying.
How is allowing the country to default going to save the country? Like, I guess I don't know exactly what goes into, like, what happens when a country defaults. I guess we'll find out. It may widely be excluded from further credit. Some of its overseas assets may be seized, and it may face political pressure for its own domestic bondholders to pay back the debt. Interesting. Oh boy, this is something. So sovereign debt is a failure. Excuse me. A sovereign default is a failure or refusal of the government of a sovereign state to pay back its debt in full when it's due. Cessation of due payments may either be accompanied by the government's formal declaration that it will not be willing, or it will not pay or only partially pay its debts, or it may be unannounced. Gotcha. Countries have at times escaped some of the real burden of their debt through inflation. This is not default in the usual sense because the debt is honored. Sometimes governments devalue their currency. This can be done by printing more money to apply toward their own debts, or by ending or altering the convertibility of their currencies into precocious metals or foreign currency at fixed rates. So these seem to me to be avenues that you could take to avoid a situation of sovereign default. Okay. This often is defined as an extraneous or a procedural default of terms on the contracts of the other instruments. If potential lenders or bond purchasers begin to suspect that a government may fail to pay back its debt, they may demand a higher interest rate in compensation for the risk of default. That seems to have long-term outcomes for those investing in the stock market, like at least in government bonds, that is, or government-backed securities. That's going to have a major ripple effect for that. Yeah, and usually government-backed securities are safe investments for a lot of people. But obviously, if a government is not going to be able to pay back its debt, then there may be less people willing to invest in that kind of thing, right? So that's not good. A dramatic rise in interest rate faced by a government due to fear that it will not fail. It's sometimes called a sovereign debt crisis. Governments may be especially vulnerable to sovereign debt crisis when they rely on financing through short-term bonds, since it creates this maturity mismatch between their short-term bond financing and the long-term asset value of their tax base. Today, a government that defaults will be only... Gotcha. Therefore, governments rarely default on the entire value of their debt. Instead, they often enter into negotiations with their bondholders to agree on a delay, debt restructuring. So that sounds kind of like Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Or partial reduction of their debt. Sorry about that. Some economists have argued that in the case of acute insolvency crises, it can be advisable for regulators and supranational, I can't speak to it, wow, lenders to preemptively engineer the orderly restructuring of a nation's public debt. Okay, gotcha. Interesting. Yeah, I'm just curious, what causes this? A reversal of global capital flows, unwise lending, fraudulent lending, excessive foreign debts, poor credit history, unproductive lending, rollover risk, weak revenues, rising interest rates, terminal debt. A significant factor in sovereign default is the presence of significant debts owed to foreign investors, such as banks, who are unable to obtain timely payment via political support from governments. Gotcha. Okay. As far as I'm concerned, the United States is not in a sovereign debt crisis. So, I don't know.
Dying. Our country is being destroyed by stupid people, by very stupid people.
You once said that
Oh, that's putting it mildly.
using the debt ceiling as a negotiating wedge just could not happen. You said that when you were in the
That's
Oval
when I was
Office.
president.
So why is it different now that you're out of office?
Because now I'm not president.
Yeah, I mean, like, Trump doesn't give a fuck, right? So why should we?
This is a bit of a pivot, but with gun violence and mass shootings in the news cycle recently, I'm worried that state governments and the federal government are going to act to repress gun rights. Under your administration, you instructed the Department of Justice and the ATF to ban bump stocks. If elected president again, how would you act not only to defend our Second Amendment rights, but to restore rights that have been taken from us, such as, by example, recently the ATF's ruling on the pistol stabilizing braces?
Yeah, as
So why the fuck? Man, Jesus Christ.
you know, the bump stocks are actually a very unimportant thing. And NRA, I went with them and they said it doesn't mean anything. They're actually, all they do is teach you how to shoot very inaccurately. So we did that. There's been nobody that's protected the Second Amendment, as you know, like I have. I protected it through thick and thin, not easy to do. But we have a very
does that
big
mean?
mental health problem in this country.
That conservatives have historically ignored and not given a fuck about.
And again, it's not the gun that pulls the trigger, it's the person that pulls the trigger. And we have to protect our Second Amendment.
Damn, what? He's trouting out the old arguments, huh?
We have to protect our Second Amendment.
Mr. President, you dealt with a lot of mass shootings when you were in office. This year, there have already been more than 200 mass shootings in 2023. If you
Yeah, it doesn't really have much to, it doesn't have much to do with the person in office. Like, you can't just, like, look at things that are happening under, like, a president's administration and go, like, that's their fault. Like, gun violence has been an issue for a while now. And, like, I don't know, like, it's actually a more complicated issue to redress because there's a bunch of guns in circulation within the United States, and having, like, these gun laws, while beneficial, may not fully, like, fix the problem, you know?
are reelected, are there any new gun restrictions that you would sign into law?
I would do numerous things. For instance, schools, we would harden, very, very much harden. And I'm a very believer.
Wait, what does that mean? Harden schools. What does that mean?
I believe in teachers. I love teachers. I think they're incredible. And they love the children, not quite like the
Wait, don't conservatives, like, bitch about, like, teachers because they're always, like, they're indoctrinating children with, like, transgenderism or something?
parents, but they love the children in many cases almost as much. Many of these teachers are soldiers, ex-policemen.
What?
They're people that really understand weapons, and you don't need 5% of the teachers would be more than you could ever have if you're going to hire security guards. But in addition to that, have security guards. You have to harden your entrances. You have to make schools safe, and you can make other.
Or how about this? How about we look at what causes mass shooters to commit mass shootings and see if we can subvert that from happening, like red flag laws, for example, or like attack the root problem as opposed to just having, like, a fortified, like, Pentagon fucking army base where, like, children go every day to eat lunch and like learn what 2 + 2 is, you know? Like, I feel like going to the root cause of the issue is probably better than just, like, having a bunch of guns in schools in the first place, right? Or, like, having teachers be armed and, like, yeah.
Other places safe.
This year,
How do you plan to appeal to women voters in New Hampshire who are concerned about the Dobbs decision and how states may change their laws?
It's such a great question, and it was such a great victory, and people are starting to understand it now. You know that they wanted to bring it back to the states, but that was probably the least important part of that victory. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade was an incredible thing for pro-life because it gave pro-life something to negotiate with. Pro-life had absolutely nothing being stuck in Roe v. Wade to negotiate with. And now what's happening, and I see it all over, deals are being made, deals are going to be made, and look, everybody that was
Sorry, is he giving an actual answer?
They wanted to bring it back to the states, but and it was such a great victory, and people are starting to understand it now. You know
Who?
that they wanted to bring it back to the states, but that was probably the least important part of that victory. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade was an incredible thing for pro-life because it gave pro-life something to negotiate with. Pro-life had absolutely nothing being stuck in Roe v. Wade to negotiate with. And now what's happening, and I see it all over, deals are being made, deals are going to be made, and look, everybody that was president wanted to get rid and tried to get rid of Roe v. Wade.
You mean
for 50 years.
Republicans?
Republicans. For 50 years, this has been going on, actually a couple of Democrats too, but for 50 years, this has been going on. I was able to do it, and I was very honored to do it, but by doing it, things are happening that are very, very positive. And I happen to believe in the exceptions, the life of the mother, rape, incest, like Ronald Reagan believed in the exceptions, but I happen to believe that. I think it's frankly important to do that, but a lot of people are against that. A relatively small number, but
Okay.
the way I look, I think it's very important to say this. I consider the other side to be radical because the other side, under Roe v. Wade and other things, the other side, they're radical because they will. Remember the debate with Hillary Clinton? I said,
So he's not going to explain how they're radical? Okay.
rip the baby out of the womb at the end of the 9th month. They will kill the baby in the 9th month.
Wait, what's he referring to? Like, did Hillary Clinton say that she's going to, like, rip a baby out of the woman's womb and, like, eat its head off? Like, what's he talking about? Like, what's he referring to?
If you look at that crazy governor of Virginia from the former governor,
He doesn't
he
even know his
said, no,
name.
the baby will be born, and then we'll decide essentially whether or not to execute
But
the
Mr.
baby.
President, can we talk about what you would do if
No,
you
but these are the
if you
radical people.
reelected?
It's not the pro-life people that are
But
radical.
if you are
But he's arguing with nobody right here. He's just making stuff up to be mad about. Like, nothing was brought up in relation to radicalism. Like, he's arguing with a ghost.
reelected and you're back in the Oval Office and you get legislation to your desk, would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
What I'll do is negotiate so that people are happy. But the fact that we were
It's the dumbest fucking answer. Jesus Christ. Did he really just say that, dude?
is negotiate so that people are happy.
And into law?
What I'll do is negotiate so that people are happy.
I'm gonna negotiate to make people happy. Oh, dude, you can't lose with that strategy as a politician.
But the fact that I was able, I'm so proud of it. We put 3 great justices on the Supreme Court. We have almost 300 federal judges on the Supreme Court.
So just to be clear, Mr. President, you would sign a federal abortion ban into
I
law?
said this. I want to do what's right. And
Oh my god! Why can't people fucking answer questions? It really does trigger me. Jesus Christ.
we're looking, and we want to do what's right for everybody.
But what's right?
But now, for the first time, the people that are pro-life have negotiating capability. Because
Okay, what does that mean though? Like, so is he just saying, like, for the first time ever, you can have a discussion at the state level? Because you could already have done that, right?
you didn't have it before. They could kill the baby in the 9th month or after the baby.
That's pretty sure that's not true. In some states, I'm pretty sure late-term abortions are, in, like, red states specifically, like, later-term abortions are limited. This was prior to Roe v. Wade.
was born. Now they won't be able
But
to
I
do
think
that.
this is a really important question for you to answer because this is something every Republican, including those who are running against you for the nomination, are being asked about is would you sign a federal abortion ban into law?
And many of them are going to give you the same answer as
What a coward. Just answer the question and say yes.
I am. First of all, I am honored to have done what I did. And a lot
Coward.
of people said, in 150 years, he's now the most consequential president because he saved so many lives. And I'm honored to have done it.
Coward.
And because of what I've done,
He's
we now
scared.
have a great negotiating ability. That's what I do in life. I negotiate.
Will you sign, the question is, will you sign a federal abortion ban into law if you're president? His answer, I will do what makes people happy. Another answer, or rather, he is asked the same question a second time. Well, here's what I'll say. We have done so much for women's rights. It's like, oh my god, dude, just fucking, just own it, you know? Like, Jesus.
We have a great negotiating ability, and I think we're going to be able to get
what do you
some.
Oh, jeez.
Your Republican rivals have criticized you for not fulfilling the promises that you made on the campaign trail, like finishing the border wall. So how did voters know that you would get those done if you're reelected?
I did
True.
finish the wall. I built a wall. I built
didn't finish the
hundreds of
wall.
miles of wall, and I
I built the wall, motherfuckers. I hand laid all those bricks.
finished it. And then I said, we have to build some more because there are areas like water going through a dam.
So, isn't it the case, like, illegal immigrants, like, if you're just gonna build a wall, couldn't they just, like, dig under it? Or, like, can't they just go through, like, airplanes or something? You know, like...
There are some areas where a lot of people are coming. You close up one and they come into another.
And a lot of illegal immigrants are only considered illegal on account of their visas, like, expiring, you know? So, like, they came through the legal process and were granted amnesty, but at a later date, or, excuse me, not granted amnesty, but, like, they were allowed in to the United States on a work visa, but they overstayed that visa, and that's, like... So, like, what, building the wall isn't going to work with that situation?
And we started another 100 miles of wall. In fact, I said to my people, if we start this and don't finish it, and then we had a rigged election, I'm sorry to say it.
The election was not rigged,
okay,
Mr.
good, I
President.
know.
You can't
I'm
keep
glad
saying
you're
that all
saying
night long.
And
Some of your Republican
Okay, gotcha.
was the zero tolerance immigration policy that separated families at the border. If you are reelected, are you ruling out instituting that?
well, when you have that policy, people don't come. If a family hears that they're going to be separated, they love their family. They don't come. So I know it sounds harsh, but if you remember they said I was building prisons for children. It turned out that it was Obama that was building
But
the
would you
prisons for the children.
re-implement that if you're reelected? Is
Well,
that what you're saying?
we have to save our country.
You had was the zero
what?
tolerance immigration policy that separated families at the border. If you are reelected, are you ruling out instituting that?
Dude, he's not even challenging the premise. He's actually accepting the fact that, yes, I did separate some families, but you know what? So did Obama. Like, okay. So he's, like, not even, like, repudiating the framing. I mean, how could you, though? Because that's just the fact of the matter.
They're going to be separated. They love their family. They don't come. So I know it sounds harsh, but if you remember
Yeah, so he's just accepting the fact that, yeah, I did separate some families.
they said I was building prisons for children. It turned out that it was Obama that was building
But
the
would
Well, you both did it, and so was Biden, so...
you
prisons for the
re-implement
children.
that if you're reelected? Is
Well,
that what you're saying?
we have to save our country.
And what does that mean? You have to save your country from what? The fucking 5-year-old Mexican who, like, 5-year-old Mexican girl who can't even speak English? Like, what are you talking about? Save America?
Current administration has made it clear that we should continue to provide military equipment to Ukraine so that they can defend themselves.
Oh, I
Do you
can't wait to
support
hear
this
this.
decision, and how would you deal with the increasing threat posed by Vladimir Putin?
First of all, thank you very much. It's really nice. And it's an important question, so important, because we're giving away so much equipment. We don't have ammunition for ourselves, right?
This is, of course, not true. We have plenty of ammunition. We have the largest military on the planet by, like, degrees and leaps and bounds. Like, there's, yeah.
Now, we don't have ammunition for ourselves. We're giving
Again, this is not true, though.
away so much. But here's the thing. I have to say it to start off. No longer matters. If I were president,
So wait, I'm just curious. I need to remind myself. Great, I can't get a direct answer. This is lovely. Wait, are you kidding me? In the financial year of 2023, the Department of Defense had $1.99 trillion distributed among its 6 components. Agencies spent available budgetary resources by making financial promises called obligations. Alright, I just want something very basic. Gee, look at this fucking graph. Percent of GDP. Oh, okay, gotcha. Billion US dollars, constant 20. Okay. So we are spending. Wow, it actually went down a little bit. That's interesting, but it's going back up. Compared to China and Russia, we like blow them out of the water apparently. As of March of 2023, presidential budget request was $842 billion in January. So I mean, like, it's ridiculously high. And then here's a breakdown of where it's going apparently. Oh, I didn't know that was so transparent. Interesting. What about relative to other countries? Comparison with other countries. Look at that right there. And apparently we don't have any munitions or firearms or what have you ourselves, the United States, after having given resources to Ukraine, apparently.
This would have never happened. And even the Democrats admit that. Putin knew.
Wait, what?
Equipment. We don't have ammunition for ourselves right now.
We don't have ammunition ourselves right now. We don't have ammunition ourselves, apparently.
Now, we don't have ammunition for ourselves. We're giving away so much. But here's the thing. I have to say it to start off. No longer matters. If I were president, this would have never happened.
That's probably not true. It's very difficult to attribute what two nations, like, it's difficult to say, like, it is Biden's fault Russia invaded Ukraine. Like, how do you figure? Like, what's your argument? You know? Is it because, oh, you're a tough little boy who will, like, put Putin in his place? Okay, fuck. What are you gonna do? It's like, call him and say, don't invade Ukraine? Like, he's gonna do whatever the fuck he wants to do. He has no interest in who the president is.
And even the Democrats admit that. Putin knew it would have never happened, and his pipeline would have...
Wait, I just realized, isn't it, like, conservatives like Trump who say, like, they're not warmongers or warhawks or whatever, but to a certain degree, you kind of have to be in order to deter, like, Russia from invading Ukraine? So is he, like, undermining his own, like, beliefs right there? I don't know.
Never happened. A lot of things would have never happened, but this would never have happened. And all those dead people, both Russian and Ukrainian, they wouldn't be dead today. And all those cities that are blown up and disintegrated right to the ground, that wouldn't have happened. Okay, now, here's the problem. We've given so far $171 billion. They've given, meaning European Union, which is approximately the same size altogether as our economy. They've given about 20.
Okay, let's find out. GDP of United States is 23 excuse me. Wow, Jesus. Okay. 23.32 trillion. I will say that is a big number. GDP of the EU, that might be more difficult to in 2021, which is actually when the invasion took. No, the invasion took place in 2022. The European Union. The total value of all goods and services GDP is 14.5 trillion. Just 1 second. United States, 14.5, 23.32. So that's like a difference of like $7 trillion, which is a lot, but, you know, this is still like, they're pretty close, I would say.
So we're at $170 billion. They wouldn't be dead today. And all those cities that are blown up and disintegrated right to the ground, that wouldn't have happened. Okay, now, here's the problem. We've given so far $171 billion. They've given, meaning European Union, which is approximately the same size altogether as our economy. They've given about 20. So we're at one.
They're actually a little, yeah. So he says approximately, and I can kind of concede that, I guess. I mean, like they're 7 trillion less in terms of GDP, which is a lot in like total number, but you know.
70, let's say, and they're at 20.
But you have to consider how much spending each nation state is allocating towards the military, right? Because that is where like the resources are going to. And the United States spends almost $1 trillion a year on the military. So we have far more resources than the EU. Or
You don't have to know too much about history to realize, or geography, to realize that they're a little bit more affected than we are, okay? So they've got to put up a lot more money because they're taking advantage of us like every other country did. That's why I ended NAFTA and replaced it with the USMCA, Mexico, Canada.
Yeah, that was dumb. The USMCA, man, it's been a while. There were some good things about it. There were some bad things about it. But I think NAFTA was overall at worst, a net neutral thing for the North American continent.
This issue, Mr. President, I should know, I don't know any Democrats who have said they don't believe Putin would have invaded if you were president. But her question is, would you continue to give Ukraine money and weapons if you're elected? What's the answer?
I have a very good relationship with President Zelensky because,
so far, he hasn't answered the question.
as you know, he backed me up with the phony impeachment hoax #1.
Oh my god, dude! Everything is like a launching pad for his like conspiracy theories.
When he said the president didn't do anything wrong, so
That
I
was when
happen
you
to
asked him
like.
for an
So I
investigation in
happen to
exchange
like.
for
Yeah, that's
weapons.
right.
Notice how he diverts from the question. He's like, "Would you still provide Ukraine with weapons and shit?" And he's like, "Well, I've talked to Zelensky and blah 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 impeachment." Like,
And I was totally exonerated, by the way, just a waste of time and money.
You were impeached
Gotcha.
over that. You were impeached over that, but let's stay on topic here.
I'm exonerated even though you're impeached. Got it.
Impeached over that. You were impeached over that, but let's stay on topic here, Mr. President, because the question is, would you give Ukraine...
I love how this is like the priority for GOP voters, like sticking it to those making like wasn't there like a recent poll that's like the priority for like Republican voters, one of the things listed at the top was like making liberals angry. Clearly, that seems to be resonating with this crowd specifically because it's like kind of sticking it to the Democratic Party for like trying to impeach him, or rather succeeding in impeaching.
weapons
I was
and
impeached
funding?
by a crazy woman named Nancy
But the
Pelosi.
question-
Phony impeachment.
Got it. Sorry if it's a little low in volume, but
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
wait, hold on. The question was, do you want Ukraine to win the war?
Do
absolutely
you want
over.
Ukraine to win this war?
This is such a. By the way, this is such a layup. I'm pretty sure a majority of the American people support Ukraine. Hold on. I don't fucking know what this shit is. That's not what I was looking for. The fuck is this shit? Americans support Ukraine. A new poll. When was this released? Oh, this shit's old. It's too old actually. All right, hold on. International public opinion. Oh, that makes sense. I love how, like, by the way, that Russia, one of the things that they cared about was, like, having less nation states apply for membership for NATO, and, like, what has happened as a result of them invading Ukraine has only led to more favorable opinions regarding it. Look at that shit. After Russia invaded Ukraine, there was a sharp increase in the share of U.S. adults viewing Russia as an enemy to the United States. I want to see broken down by, like, political affiliation. 4 in 10 Republicans in the U.S. said in January 2023 that the country is providing too much aid. So 40%. Up to 9% who said so early in the war. Sorry, let me look here. Republicans... so about right... Wait, hold on. Share of Republicans who say the U.S. gives too much aid to Ukraine has steadily risen since March 2022. That makes sense to me. So Republicans who have said that there has been too much in 2023, January was 40%, about right it's 24%, and then not enough is 17%. Yeah, I mean, it's going to shrink. Yeah, that makes sense, I guess. So Americans are more likely to approve or than disapprove of Biden administration's response to Russia's invasion of Ukraine, but attitudes varied widely by party. That makes sense too. Okay. Anyway, let's go back to it.
I don't think in terms of winning and losing. I think in terms of getting it settled so we stop.
I still think it'd be a good thing to probably like still say like if you're conservative, be like, you know, I support Ukraine and I do want them to win. However, I think that the amount of money that we are giving to Ukraine can probably be cut back at this point in time. I think that that would be a more reasonable response.
Killing all these people and breaking down this country. Now,
What do you? Can I just follow up on that? You
But
said
one
you
of the
don't
things
think
you
in
have
terms
to
of
do is
winning
you
and
have to get
losing.
the- you have
Mr.
to get
President, can I
Europe-
just follow up on that because that's a really important
excuse me,
statement
let me
that
just
you just
follow
made
up.
there. Can you say if you want Ukraine or Russia to win this war?
I want everybody to stop dying.
Oh my god. So then you would be in support of Ukraine then, right? Because like if Ukraine wins the war, then Russia will be out of there and not murdering Ukrainian citizens, right?
They're dying. Russians and Ukrainians. I want them to stop.
I have some sympathy for Russian conscripts. However, in terms of like ending the war, how would it be expedited is through Russia losing the war and Russia getting out of Ukraine.
Dying. And I'll have that done. I'll have that done in 24 hours. I'll have it done. You need the power of the presidency to do it.
But you won't say that you want Ukraine to win. You
You
said
know
when
what I'll
you were
say?
in-
I'll
when you
say
were in
this.
office.
I want Europe to put up more money because they're in for 20 billion. We're in for 170, and
that's
they
not
should
an
be,
answer about who
and
should
they
win
should
the war.
equalize.
It's really weird. Like, I'm trying to think politically, why would a conservative not commit to just supporting Ukraine? Like, ideologically, they are more in alignment with Russia, which I understand that, but like, from a political optics perspective, like winning over voters, why would you not be in why wouldn't you just say, I do want Ukraine to win the war, but I would like for Congress to pull back a little bit on how much we're giving Ukraine. Why wouldn't you, like, I just don't get it. I don't know. Because, like, a majority of Americans support giving Ukraine, you know, support Ukraine generally, right? But I think that the, you know, like, that's starting to, like, the amount that we're giving Ukraine has started to, like, the support for that has been going down over time, which does make sense, right? Because, you know, you hear in the news, Ukraine, and how much we're giving them all the time, and you're thinking, after an extended period of time, you're like, well, damn, dude, we're giving them so much fucking money, they're still fighting this war. I'm kind of sick of it. People, unfortunately, are going to think that way. So, it does make sense that the polling is going in the other direction. With that being said, people still support Ukraine and don't like Russia in the United States. So why wouldn't you say that you support Ukraine or want them to win the war?
They have plenty of money. They should equalize. I got with NATO.
But I'm
when I
asking
sat
you about
down, I got
Ukraine
them
right
to
now,
put up
Mr.
hundreds.
President.
I just don't
billions of-
understand like the what's the political end here? Like, you know, like it's kind of weird. Shit.
You were in office, you said that you respected President Putin. Do
Yeah, I
you
do.
still respect him today?
He made a tremendous mistake. He's a smart guy, you know. I remember I said he was smart.
Damn,
she
dude,
was
this
smart.
fucking
They
camera.
What
said-
was his
he
mistake?
said President Xi of China, right, is smart. Okay, 1.5 billion people. He's the ruler of 1.5 billion people. I said, yeah, he's a smart guy. How dare he?
Sorry, hold on one second. I think I'm gonna. Here's what I'll do. Jesus Christ, hold on. Hold on one second. Shit. I gotta clean my computer on the inside. There's some dust. There's some dust in there. Okay, hold on. I'm hoping that this stops spazzing out. Yeah, I mean, I unplugged it and plugged it back in. Fucking dog shit, dude. Alright, I feel like I'm gonna need to leave this off. It's just, like, really bad, so... Sorry. Let's go.
He say he's smart. Of course he's smart. They want you to say he's a stupid person. Okay, he's not a stupid person. He's very smart. He's very cunning. And Putin made a bad mistake, in my opinion.
What was his mistake?
His mistake was going in. He would have never gone in if I was president. We used to talk about it there.
Wait. He told you, I am not invading Ukraine if you are president? What?
Do you believe
Why would he tell you that? If that were even true? It's kind of jarring to watch Trump be treated as a normal president candidate minutes after he go to his... Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, well that seems to be it. Okay. Well, the polling here on Americans with respect to Ukraine seems to suggest that they are mostly in favor of Ukraine and don't like Russia. Among U.S. adults overall, 43% strongly or somewhat approved of the administration's response. Yeah, that makes sense. Huh. Alright, cool. Wow, look at France. Jeez. 89%. Spain. Sweden. Poland. Whoa. Well, the closer you get to Russia, I guess, right? Well, Spain's pretty far away, yeah. No confidence in look at Poland, dude. 97% have no confidence. Those fuckers must dude, they I mean I don't blame them, but fuck. Alright. Well, that's interesting. Regardless. Overall I think Trump's well actually let's watch this.
Town hall about the 20. Does it bother you that he keeps talking about 2020 and not 2024?
It's a little difficult to hear.
This is Jonathan Leslie. He's 40, Republican, voted for Trump twice. How do you feel about those lies?
So I feel like part of it's also the media narrative, as you guys asked in the first question at the town hall about the 2020 election.
Why are they always trying to psychoanalyze shit all the time? They're like, you guys have an agenda. You asked him a very leading question. And he responded like a boss. Like, it's like their first it's like they have recently discovered that, oh my god, the media, they manufacture consent. They do all this crazy shit, and like, it's like they're first realizing this and feel like they're leading the crusade against like the establishment by pointing it out to them.
Than current stuff.
So don't you think he could say it's time for me to start talking about 2024 and not lies that aren't true?
Couldn't the media ask him a question about 2024?
Well, there were questions, but you're right, that was the first thing that...
Alright, cool. Cool. Is there anything else? I think that's about it. Cool. Well, I think overall Trump, looked pretty bad. I think that there were some political mistakes he made. Like, honestly, I don't even think this town hall was that bad. Like, based on these clips I'm watching, there could have been shit left out that, like, makes him look better, but, like, this didn't really come across to me as though he looked good. Even, like, if you're maybe if, like, you're a hardcore Trumper, like, you're already gonna go for him anyway, so whatever. But, like, this didn't, like, come across to me like it didn't look good for him. I don't know. That's just my takeaway here. Like, the whole shit about Ukraine, like, why wouldn't you just say, like, I want Ukraine to win the war, but I want us to stop giving them as much money as we are? Like, you could have said that. Maybe even that could have even been a reasonable take. Maybe even I would have agreed with it. But like fucking just dodging the question and then going like, the EU isn't pulling their weight over here. Like, it just seems bizarre. And also he dodged this question too with the impeachment thing, which is kind of cringe. He doubles down in the family separation shit, which it just looks awful for him. Like, yeah. He said he finished the wall, even though this is demonstrably untrue. Honestly, when it comes to like assessing how good of or bad of a job Trump does, it's like a different standard almost, even like with other conservatives, because like they're not operating within the same universe as us. So like what is and isn't true isn't necessarily the point. Like, it's about what resonates with the voters, what gets them, to come out and vote or view you as a good candidate. And I don't even think he accomplishes that in this town hall. I really thought that like this was going to be like he was going to do well here. Again, these are just clips. That's fine. And maybe there are some things that I like some shit I haven't seen yet, but like it didn't really look that good to me. Okay. Is my camera still getting fucked up? Yep, yes it is. That's great. Well, I guess I need a new one, huh? Alright, that's fine. In other news though. We saw this. Fuck. This is a good meme. Okay, sorry. Getting sidetracked. Alright, let's go ahead. That first, let's do this. So Tim Pool, alright? We recently talked about him. We talked about him because he was debating Lance from the Serfs, and I already shared my thoughts about that debate, and I watched it again 2 other times, and I don't know, man. I think that Lance did worse than I initially thought, looking over it again. But that's not really what I'm here to discuss. I'm here to discuss Tim Pool for the sake of talking about the recent school shooter? The Texas shooter. I need to familiarize myself with this. Oh man, hold on. It was the mall shooter who was also, I think, Latino? The suspect in this weekend's mass shooting at an outdoor mall had 8 weapons with him, which were legally obtained. The alleged mass shooter, who died after a confrontation with police, had 3 weapons on person, 5 in his car, and he allegedly opened fire at the Allen... Okay. When asked by ABC News chief national correspondent what could be done to protect the public from another person suspected of having mental illness or carrying out a mass shooting, Sidley suggested that the shooter still could have committed this violence even if gun laws prevented the legal weapon purchases. Even if he couldn't have purchased these firearms legally, he probably could have obtained them illegally or used some other vehicle, literally vehicle, to perpetrate something similar. They will find a way. So if that were the case, and this is acknowledged, first off, who is this person who's saying this? So if that were the case, which I believe it to be somewhat the case, then why not attack the problem at its source? Like, why do people feel the need to commit mass shootings? Understanding how, not only how, but why that happens is a very important thing to understand when it comes to, like, you can't, like, fix a problem if you don't know why it's happening, right? The motive remains unknown, but he has a neo-Nazi ideation, which has been, yeah. Gotcha. Garcia had no criminal history. Authorities are continuing to analyze devices. I understand he worked as security guard. Sibley said police response to the mall was stellar. Gotcha. So this doesn't seem to provide a lot of information. Just some basics. I would like to know a little bit more about the shooter themselves. The gunman who killed at least 8 people, neo-Nazi sympathizer. Allen police on Sunday identified the shooter. We already got there. Let's see. The preliminary review of what is believed to be the shooter's social media accounts reveal hundreds of posts that include racially or ethnically motivated violent extremist rhetoric, including neo-Nazi material espousing white supremacy to got it. Authorities believe the shooter acted alone. Wait, the official stressed that investigation is ongoing. The preliminary review found that the gunman's social media posts were not linked or shared by other users. Huh, okay. What's going on? I just want to get more information about what's happening. Garcia proclaimed his white supremacist views on social media and supported Nazi tattoos. Oh yeah, I forgot about this. Elon Musk had claimed that this could have been a psychological operation in which the public was misled about the real details of the shooting by claiming that the shooter was, that the shooter had a Russian social media had an account on a Russian social media platform. I saw that tweet. We're gonna have to go find it. He mentioned a PSYOP somewhere. If only they could, like, link it in the article. Alright, whatever. Alright, Garcia proclaimed his white supremacist views on social media. Authorities and independent researchers have confirmed his interest in far-right extremism and white supremacists. Dude, it's fucking amazing. Well, not amazing in the good sense, but, like, it's just very, like, it like, happens all the time. The shit is always, like, there's a fucking mass shooter and they happen to be far-right, like, every single time. When police killed Garcia, he was wearing a patch that read RWDS, an acronym for Right-Wing Death Squad. We do not know he had neo-Nazi ideation, even though he had patches and tattoos. Musk also cast doubt in the Netherlands-based research group known as Bellingcat. Oh my god, I remember that too. Hold on. Can we find that shit? I really want to see it. God damn, dude, this is Why is a corporate press so threatened by the people questioning the authenticity of a Mexican neo-Nazis Russian social media account uncovered by state-funded media? It might all be true, but such an incongruent set of claims deserves extreme scrutiny. I would like to see, like... After some social media users questioned why the shooter was using a Russian social media chat... Oh, okay, so I think I understand what's happening. So basically, people are questioning the legitimacy of the identity of the shooter, or rather that they were on this, like, I think this comes down to, like, well, they're planting evidence that like he had a Russian social media account, but he actually didn't. And the people who are reporting on this is Bellingcat, which happens to be state funded, and there was an interest within the United States government to, you know, create further negative feelings towards Russia, as well as like, yeah, okay. This gets weirder by the minute. Wait, what's this reference to? It's a psyop and it's not even good. Oh, dude, they're fucking quote tweeting Elon Miles. Oh my god. So what's going on? So, wait. God damn, this is a rabbit hole. Okay. These questions are worth asking for the Allen, Texas shooter and these recent revelations about him. This is not a comprehensive list of questions or points. Why was the shooter misidentified several times? I don't know what gave him that impression. The shooter wasn't white. So, how were his neo-Nazi affiliations discovered? Probably through his fucking social media. And the fact that he had tattoos. Didn't he also have, like, far-right, like, tattoos or something? And the fact that it said right-wing death squad on his, like, when he was dead, yeah. There was speculation about whether the visible tattoo on the shooter's hand was a gang tattoo based on the practices of the prison gang Tango Blast, whose members had tats. Where's he getting this shit from? Like, where's he getting, like, this? The alleged shooter's Nazi tattoos are fresh. What's that to do with anything? The alleged shooter's account on OK.ru was made a few months ago, had 0 interactions. Okay. Is this the Russian web social media platform they're referring to? The photos of his body with Nazi tattoos are all headless. The person who discovered the OK.ru profile is a Bellingcat researcher and NAFO member, the same guy who discovers the Discord leaks. The alleged shooter's profile praised transgender terrorists in Nashville. Shooter posted Tim Pool's content on his profile with 0 interactions. Are currently being highlighted by the researcher. Okay. So wait, hold on. This post was inspired by LOT, of course it was. I'm not reading all this shit, dude. Fuck it. Oh, God. What is this? Is this the guy who made the post? So, the shooter's alleged profile claims that he was inspired by LOT. Between this and the Tim Pool references, this thing is suspect. Why? Why would you assume that this is suspicious just because they're referencing Libs of TikTok and Tim Pool? Where is his Twitter account? Why was he using Russia's social media site to write as essentially a diary to 0 followers? Oh boy. Okay, okay, let's go back to reality here. So they're saying it's a psyop, okay. This gets weirder by the moment. Yeah, I mean, like, so it's one thing to have questions, but then to go, like, this is a psyop is, like, ridiculous. You have to, it's not just, like, I have some questions about the legitimacy of this, what's going on. It's one thing to have that, but then to make the leap to saying it's a psyop is ridiculous. Okay, whatever. After some social media users questioned why the shooter was using Russian social media channel and account discovered. Gotcha. Just went over that. Oh, so they're calling people who have discovered the shit like a CIA operative based on literally conjecture. Who is this? Dude, this is a whole... I don't want to go down this rabbit hole. Alright. Authorities said killed 8 people. Since the shooting, information about Garcia's beliefs and potential motives have emerged. The gunman was reportedly wearing a patch with the right-wing death squad thing. And it's becoming more common. FBI documents obtained by Rolling Stone show Garcia. Sorry, one moment, please. All right, sorry about that. Go to window. All right. He also okay. So the guy had an account on this Russian social media platform. Since September, Garcia used the platform to post anti-Semitic, misogynistic, and racist messages. The news outlet reported the account also had images of the Dallas area mall where the shooting occurred. Whatever, man. Like, so there's a bunch of like conspiracies. Like, did he actually like? Was this like a psychological operation to make us think it was somebody else? Musk has laid much of the staff at Twitter dedicated to featuring after wait, hold on. Yeah, community notes. Yep. Green's tweet ignores the fact. Oh, I don't want to get into all that shit. Okay, whatever. So why am I talking about this? What was? Oh yeah, because of Tim Pool. That's what we were trying to get to. Okay, so anyway, but the guy like referenced Tim Pool. All right. Apparently he consumed its content, and this is his response to it.
I mean, I got to be honest. Like, I think it's funny, and I really just don't care. I think we've won so much ground in the culture war that it is completely meaningless that they would even do it, assuming it was a psyop. It means nothing to me. It's just funny. You know what I mean?
So is he deriving humor off the basis that they're trying to like that it's a psychological operation, but like there's no point in them trying to do this because people of his political affiliation have already quote unquote won the culture war?
That every chance they get, they're just slandering, you know, like Musk or Timcast or whoever it is that is the opposing view. It's straight slander, just associations with the most terrible organization in history, the Nazis, right?
So like there's no argument here. It's literally just like I'm a victim. And even though there were 8 people who were just gunned down in a Texas mall, they're claiming to be the victim here in this like witch hunt or this psychological operation that has yet to be proven.
That's just it shows that they have no substance.
Here's how I responded.
Well, first off, the investigation is ongoing, but second off, there is some substance to there's some evidence that has been collected by the FBI and law enforcement, so it's not like they have nothing.
Ian Miles Chong tweeted something out. Keith Olbermann responded saying, "Sure, it's suspect because your side and libs of TikTok got caught inspiring a mass murderer. Blood on your hands, F you." And I said, I really don't care what the cult thinks, like, at all. Fart, Keith Olbermann. I'd say you're dumb as a box of rocks, but that's demeaning to rocks. I mean, I gotta be honest.
So, yeah, it's no surprise that the people who helped inspire a mass shooter would also take the position that something that has happened, like that event happening, is, like, not a big deal, or that they don't care about it, because, like, you know, they want to... People like Tim Pool don't like taking accountability or for anything really that they do. So instead, they'll just brush off things like mass shooters, slaughtering people, and claim that it's quote unquote funny, which is interesting given the fact that this motherfucker, last week, talking to Lance, was saying acting like saying that there's like a fucking genocide against cisgender children, to mutilate or to castrate them or whatever. And apparently in that he's taking a hardline stance and treating it with dignity, even though that shit's not happening. But then when a mass shooting happens, apparently it's funny. So that's nice. And by the way, it wasn't just him that has supposedly inspired the mass shooter. It was also Libs of TikTok, and probably some other right-wingers that weren't necessarily found yet, but okay. Yeah, I saw this too. So like this website, man, Twitter's just like it's I don't know, man. It's just really fucked. It's just really turning into like 4chan kind of.
First millennium, European Western civilization was run by Christians and by strong Christian leaders.
Whether you like him or not, Nick Wenches is the last hope you have for Western civilization. It is time to unban him.
And A century ago, there were still strong Christian leaders in Europe, and we know what happened to them.
You know what? I just realized I don't want to. Could I get like? Can I get yoinked off Twitch for featuring Nick Fuentes? Maybe I don't know. Hopefully not.
It was the monarchies in Russia.
All right, whatever. Basically, blah blah blah. Oh no way! Wait, did they have the red list on here? No shot. That is wow. Hold on, wait. I got.
It's like okay, well, it's half, or 2/3, or 3/4. What's the other quarter? What's the other third? What's the other half?
Yeah, it's the fucking JQ thing. So basically, if you're unaware, there's this fucking conspiracy. It's like this list or something. I forget what it's like specifically referred to, but it's basically like a list of like Jewish people who are in like positions of power or who are of wealthy status.
It's not Catholics.
Who are
It's
supposedly pulling the strings of whatever the powers that be.
not hardcore God-believing Christians. It's all kinds of other atheist Christian. Well, take a look around you. It's exactly what we have now. And so many of the problems that we can point to, which are blamed on various things, ideology, government, on other groups or population, that our thoughts, words, and deeds matter, that there's moral weight to them, that they resonate and echo. So far as you've got non-Christians running the government and running the institutions, you have...
Whatever. Cool. So anyway, in other news, things that are probably more important, maybe more important, I don't know. Whoops, didn't want to do that. Mr. Beast bought a whole fucking neighborhood for his staff to live in, and it is being characterized as a company town, which is interesting. So let's read and see what's actually going on, I guess. Mr. Beast had reportedly invested in a whole neighborhood worth of houses that he allows his staff to live in. The neighborhood in question is located in the southeastern suburbs of Greenville, North Carolina, very close to where Mr. Beast originally grew up. The intention being to have a good chunk of his workforce live in close proximity if they so choose, allowing for stress-free accommodation of its budget while theoretically boosting productivity and reducing commute time. This isn't the first time that Mr. Beast has been extremely generous to those to those close to him as well as strangers. The content creator is known for gifting planes, cars, blah blah blah. Cool. In the same report, in the same report, New York Post included comments from gotcha. Oh wow, what the fuck is that? Alright, whatever. So, this is being characterized as a company town. Let's look up what a company town is. Wikipedia, the best, most reliable source. Company town. Just get a general sense of what this is. A company town is a place where practically all stores and housing are owned by the one company that is also the main employer. So, first off, Mr. Beast is a single individual. He's not a company. He obviously operates, he's the main guy behind operating the Mr. Beast channel. He's not the only person, though. There are many other people who contribute to his content. Characterizing him, like, maybe it's considered technically like a sole prop, whatever, but, like, yeah, we're kind of stretching the definition of what we actually mean by company. Company towns are often planned with a suite of amenities such as stores, houses of worship, schools. So they own a bunch of shit in a single city. First off, this is a single neighborhood, this is not a city. They're usually bigger than a model village. Some company towns have had high ideals, but many are regarded as controlling and or exploitive. So traditional settings for company towns were extractive industries such as coal, metal mines, lumber, dam sites, etc. so forth. Since the company stores often had a monopoly in the towns, it was often possible to pay in scrip through a truck system. What is scrip? Scrip, in any substitute for legal tender, is often in form of credit. But so he's not actually he's not using scripts though, right? Like he's paying them. He just bought a neighborhood for them to live in. Typically, a company town is isolated from neighbors and centered on a large production factory, but obviously it doesn't apply here, but it says typically, so it doesn't have to, I guess. And the citizens of the town either work in the factory in one of the smaller businesses or are a family member of someone who does. This is really a stretch so far. A town that existed prior to establishment. So basically they own like the whole town. Mr. Beast bought one neighborhood and doesn't own any businesses. The only thing that he bought was literally just properties for people who work for him to live in. Or not live in, apparently. They have the choice, apparently. Within the source of employment, the communities lose property value and populations. People leave to work find. I mean, like, this just doesn't apply. Like, my fucking god, dude. Alright, what else did they say? Those saying this isn't a company town because there aren't stores or script yet. So it's literally conjecture. So you're claiming that it's a company town, but then you say that... Okay. Are quite naive about how this whole thing works. He's one guy. He's a fucking YouTuber. He's not like a whole... He's not a whole fucking, like, company. In fact, not only is he a YouTuber, he is the largest YouTuber. One of the largest content creators on the internet. Like, fuck, man. If you rail about tying healthcare to employment, you cannot tell me tying housing to employment. Dude, you don't have to live there. That's what the article said. The article said you don't have to, like, he bought the neighborhood, or not even bought the neighborhood. It doesn't sound like it. It sounds like he just bought a bunch of houses in a neighborhood close to where he grew up. And they have the option of living there if they want to. So it's not like coercive and it's not predatory. Man, people just try to make shit up to like be upset about. I don't know, man. I kind of pointed this out too. Whatever, dude. Alright, yeah, I saw this circulating. I don't really know what it means, but... Alright, I probably shouldn't scroll without vetting it. Okay. Actually, we're probably good for today. So, yeah, anyway, hope you guys have fun. I will be streaming on Saturday, and we'll be good to go. I'm gonna go feed my animals and have dinner, so that's fun. Anyway, hope you guys have a good rest of your day and have a good Friday. I'll see you guys on Saturday, and hopefully my camera will be better than it is right now. All right, take care.